for us, propagated some colonization for us, in that it was not allowing them to pass on their cultural heritage to their children, as well as not provide for their families in adequate ways. In 2018, our government reflected and fortunately issued a blanket apology for the mistreatment of the Williams Treaty. So this is mentioned in our land acknowledgement. I just thought it was relevant to let people know, what the Williams Treaty, a small piece of it was, and how that was misinterpreted by the government. So at this point, it's my honor to deliver our land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge that here in Bowmanville, we are in the territory covered by the Williams Treaty, and that this land is the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog First Nation. We offer our gratitude to Indigenous peoples for their care of the land and their teachings about our earth.
Thanks very much, Dr. Pauline, do you have birthdays and anniversaries?
Oh, yeah. I have to do it from memory. The only celebration I remember having, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the big guy himself. He's having a birthday this week, so happy birthday, Gord Wallace. Have I missed anyone else? Royce, no.
2 service.
Oh, yes, I sent it to you. 2 service above self, and one of them is somebody that's got 32 years. Ted Watson.
No.
Oh.
You just tell us.
Okay.
You want it?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. It's Steve Code. Steve Code, you've got 17 years. Well done. And Bonnie Seco has 8 years. So, thank you.
Just like brother.
So I guess I'm the man who needs no introduction. Anyway, hi, Oksana. I know here at Rotary, we are not supposed to be political, but it's hard not to be these days when you see some of the absolutely horrifying news coming out of the Ukraine. And I know that our club and our district and a lot of us individually have been supporting the relief effort there, as we should be. Our speaker this morning hasn't been following it on the news, but living through it herself. Oksana Blazhko, and I hope I pronounced that right, is the president of the Kyiv Multinational Rotary Club. That's an English-speaking club, one of 52 clubs in Ukraine, 52 that are under siege. The first day of the invasion, she left Kiev with her boyfriend and their cat, and they're now at his mother's home in Rivne, which is in northwest Ukraine. It's so far been spared the kind of damage which we've seen in other major Ukrainian cities, thankfully, but where they living with constant air raid warnings. This morning, I said that she just came back from the basement, which is where they run. And nearby, the TV and radio tower was destroyed in an attack today. And the latest news that I was reading this morning is that at least 19 people were killed in that attack. So Oksana's here this morning to talk to us about what her life has been like. Turn over to Lisa to ask a few questions. Hi, Oksana.
Hi, friends.
Hi, good morning, Oksana. Tell us about the day of the invasion, February 24th. Tell us your journey to Kyiv.
Something with telephone, someone trying to call, or something wrong with your Zoom, I can't understand.
Oh,
now it's finished. Hi, friends. Like I will repeat, I'm from Kyiv Multinational Rotary Club, and 24th of February, we woke up at 5 a.m. because we heard some explosions. That is how it started. Then people in different messengers start to write that they heard explosions, and maybe in the 15 or 20 minutes, like we received information that war started. We were trying to left Kiev for 2 times. For first time, we didn't have enough of fuel, so we came back. We were able to buy more fuel, and from second time we left Kiev. And that day, it was like the biggest traffic jams I saw in my life. The way from Kiev to Rivne, usually it takes 6 hours. That time it took around 24 hours. Maybe you have some other questions. And like in the border between Kiev and France, by the way, if you won't understand my English, just ask me, okay? Because I'm not native speaker. In the border between Kiev and Kiev region, we saw that some people even were running with backpacks without car. People were just running.
What is life like in Riv? Do you have all the basic necessities right now, like food, water? Are stores still open?
Yes, in Rivne, everything fine. We have enough of food, enough of water. We don't need a lot of clothes, but it's mentally very difficult because of all that alarm sirens. Sometimes we wake up at 2 a.m. and it lasts for 5 hours, and after that like you are trying to do something but you didn't sleep, and it's difficult. But in Western Ukraine, our city administrations, they are trying to ask people to work, and yesterday I saw even like some builders and so on, so even some small restaurants are were opened. So but the main problem that like all of the administrations are asking people to work, but it's very scary because you don't know what will happen tonight, where will be explosion and so on.
So I take it you're probably not able to work right now. I know you're a lawyer. So are you doing volunteer work, or what are you currently doing?
I'm lawyer in construction, and all the constructions in Kiev are frozen, and we are praying about their safety. Now I don't work, but I'm volunteering. I'm volunteering in Rotary. All Rotary clubs in Ukraine, in our district, and create special committee. And my work, it's communication with people, because like some people are responsible for delivering of humanitarian help. Other people collect information about needs of medicines. Also, I was collecting information about needs from hospitals in Kiev. Like we weren't prepared for all that, but like we are trying our best. Let's tell in this way.
Your mom is still in Kyiv. Are you able to be in touch with her on a daily basis? And is there a chance that she will come and join you?
We are able to speak every day, but she told me that she don't want to leave Kiev because she should be there. I can't tell you details, but she should be there.
I am quite impressed with the courage, determination, and resilience of the Ukrainian military and of the Ukrainian people. And they've put up such an incredible fight against such a much bigger force. What brings that resolve and strength in the Ukrainian people?
You know, Ukrainian soldiers, they are so brave because they know that back of them standing their kids, their moms, and everything what they loving. This is the reason why they are so brave. And you know, like I know that your club from Bowmanville, and I just checked the number of citizens of this city, and it's around 50,000, right? Something like that. And in Kiev, in Kharkiv region, we have city Izum. It's name of the city, and it is also it is 46,000 people of citizens they have, and it is damaged. They damage all the infrastructure. This city doesn't exist anymore. So you just like it's to realize like a level of damages. Oh, but sorry, I need to tell you something good. It won't last forever. Remember it, and we will win. Truth on our, like in our side, truth, and you know, I don't like to tell sad stories. It's terrible, but I want to tell you some little bit funny story. Joe liked it, if you don't mind. In Kharkiv region, we have a city, Oleshki, and like a few years before, in Ukraine, officially our government changed names of old cities with communistic names. So before the name of city was Tsurupinsk, and a few years ago it was changed into Oleshki. Russian, do you hear me? Yeah, yeah, and Russian troops, Russian soldiers, they have old maps. And according to their maps, they need to enter into Tsurupinsk. And they didn't know that the name of the city was changed. So they enter in Oleshki and were asking people, where is Tsurupinsk?
Глупый русский.
Right, yes, you are right.
Gotcha.
Maybe you have some questions.
My next question for you is, your president, Mr. Zelensky, has been putting out daily videos. And what does that mean to you for your president to have such a global presence right now?
I'll be honest with you, nobody didn't expect that he will be such a great president. Everybody knows that he's a former comedian, and like right now he's so brave, and in these videos he is supporting his nation very much, and we are very grateful for him, and he has super support from his nation.
For your Rotary Club, do you find that you have other fellow members from your club helping you doing volunteer efforts? Do you still keep in touch with any of them?
We are trying to keep in touch. We have a small club, 20 members. By the way, how many members do you have?
Around 50.
Wow, but you know, in Ukraine, Rotary, it is not so popular as in US, Canada, or Poland, or Germany. We have small clubs, most part of my club mates, they are foreigners. They are just expats who are living temporarily in Kiev, and some Ukrainians. I'm Ukrainian. So most of them left Kiev, even some Ukrainian, foreigners, they left Ukraine, and most like all people from Kiev, they left Kiev and like trying to save their lives and so on. I know that our Danish member, he is providing humanitarian help, the same doing people from Sweden and Italy. Also, our Americans support club, they are looking for some connections, looking for some medicines and the ways how to deliver all the goods in Ukraine. And it's not, you see, like if people want to deliver to us humanitarian help in the truck, it's not a problem like to deliver it in Poland. But when it is in Ukraine, it's a problem to deliver it inside of Ukraine, because the first, we have a very big problems with the fuel. It's like not a problem to collect money for fuel. It's a problem to find it. Another, it's like the way like to find driver, because not all volunteers and not all drivers, even for money, will drive a truck in the very hot regions. So, but we are trying.
Currently, you're close to the Poland border. Do you think if things significantly change where you are, that you would leave and go to Poland, or do you plan to stay where you are?
You know, I am afraid to think about it because I realize that in Poland should be people from Kharkiv, from Kherson, from cities which are damaged. I shouldn't take place of some child or moms like who don't have where to go. Of course, I'm afraid, but you know, we have a lot of information in our newspapers that Russian troops controlling our power plants. I forgot. Sorry, I forgot. Nuclear power plants, and we don't know how they will behave. And like we all afraid of nuclear catastrophe. And I was thinking about it, but like until like I'm safe, I will try to stay here and do my best.
And our club is currently supporting the relief effort that Rotary International has spearheaded. And many of our members are also donating individually. But what more can Canada, or we as a club, or as individuals, what more can we do to help you and your people?
The first, like, speak about this situation with your friends, because everything what's happening right now in Ukraine, it's I told that I'm a lawyer, and I can tell you that international law doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. I will explain. Did you hear about Budapest Memorandum? No? I will tell you some information. It was signed in 1994. Before that, Ukraine has some nuclear weapons. And this memorandum were signed by Ukraine, Russia, United States, and Great Britain. And Ukraine utilized their nuclear weapons, and all the three other parties, they promised in a written way that borders of Ukraine, or like nobody will touch Ukraine. It is official document, like because my terrible English, I won't explain you details, but if it is interesting for you, just try to find information about Budapest Memorandum, and you will realize that international law doesn't exist anymore. And because of this document, like all the three countries, they should protect Ukraine, because like we gave away our weapons. So, and one of that countries, they even start war with Ukraine. So that's terrible, and don't believe to international law anymore. Oh, I will show you. This is my cat Yena. My biggest pressure.
Oh, my.
And doing great cat-like things.
You see, Venya, each night, very usually before before our Airaid attacked Sirens, he visited me and started to hit my head with his paw, and like I know that soon will be Sirens, and I need to dress and to go to the basement.
Well, Oksana, before I turn it over to everyone else with their questions, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And I feel very honored to have had the opportunity to speak with you today. Sorry, I'm kidding. You are very brave and courageous. And I hope a resolution can be found soon for you and your people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa. And thank you, Oksana. Is there questions? If you're online, you're going to have to raise your hand so I can see you. Oh, Jason?
Well, Lisa, you started making me cry. Thanks. It's but is it Oksana? Is that the proper pronunciation?
Yes, Oksana.
Okay, it's
like Roxana with
Roxana.
but it's
There we go.
But without the L.
Well, we usually do happy bucks, and I'd love to send. I just messaged you on Messenger from Facebook, and if you can send me your email, I'd love to send you guys $100, and you guys can put that in your Rotary fund to help the people around you.
If you want to send that money, you can send them to our district. It's like now it's our main. This is the highest level, and we even be able to our governor will sign thank you letter and so on.
Okay, if you can send me the information, like I said, I messaged you on Facebook already, so just message me back where I can send the money, and I'd love to do that. I friended you, and
you friended me.
I tried to friend you, and I said.
I will check, friends. I will explain you. Last days, some people are trying to attack volunteers, and some people calling to me in the middle of night and asking, like crying and asking for my photo and my name, and they want to pray about me. So it's like that's why I'm checking everything. If everything all right,
Just use email.
You can trust Jason. Linda?
Yes. I've had about 18 emails about how we can coordinate, and Ron Dick is on the line, and I know that Ron knows how we can coordinate all of our funds to go together so that we're doing the best good. Valerie Wafer's been working on it. So Ron, could you just tell us that again, how we can connect with Rotary International to do the best for the Ukraine?
Happy to, Linda. Thank you. Bob Wallace, our district foundation chair, put out a document last week where we had 3 suggestions. And please don't let that restrict you. There's a lot of other great efforts going on out there. But the Disaster Response Fund from Rotary, we actually got together with the 6, I don't know if you realize this, but the Toronto Rotary Club was one of the 6 sponsor clubs for the original club in Kiev, Ukraine, to start Rotary in the Ukraine 30 years ago. So we got together and we're promoting matching funds. We took $25,000 from our district designated fund, and we're using that to match the clubs for contributions to Rotary International Disaster Response Fund. And we know that the money is already flowing into the Ukraine via the surrounding countries to help the refugees and anything that's requested to actually get into the Ukraine. So I'd suggest that to be your first consideration. You do get Paul Harris credit for that and club credit for your giving. The second is Shelter Box. The Toronto Rotary Club has agreed to match up to $30,000 of club contributions to the Ukraine for Shelter Box. And they've also made a $15,000 donation to Shelter Box directly from the club. And the third is a Canadian organization doing medical supply packing. And it's Health Partners International Canada, a well-recognized NGO. And they're packing 250,000 medical kits. And a $600 donation to them converts to about $6,000 of product and medicine that they put into these kits. So there's a matching or a multiplier in any one of these 3 suggestions for you. And in that communication, and I'm happy to resend it, in that communication is all the links that you would need to make those contributions.
Look, friends, I will tell you like about the ways how of help us. Of course, it is like a disaster response foundation, and we will be able to get from this foundation as a district $50,000, and our past governors, they are already prepared documents, but I still didn't heard that that grant approved. So if we will receive that grant, it means that it will be everything what we are able to get. We are looking for information if it is possible to get the same grant for Belarus, because in our district we have 2 countries. But with Belarus, like it's a difficult situation because particularly it is also involved in this war. And I'll be honest with you, in Belarus, Rotarians, it's very difficult to live there, and most Rotarians from Belarus, they left country because of political repressions. And sometime we even had information that all the NGOs with the Western roots, they are banned in Belarus. But then we also get information. I'm sorry, because of dogs outdoors. We get information that like formally Rotary still exists, but there are only few Rotarians. So like, and they are totally support us. So we, as a country, will be able to get a global grant for $50,000, and other clubs in other countries will be able to pretend for $25,000 grant. But I will explain you. These grants for $25,000, nobody don't know yet how it should work, and because our needs, they like needs in medicines, they are changing 2 times a day. We don't know like what will be in 2 weeks, even what will be in 1 day or 2 days. So will be great to use all that grant money for for rebuilding of Ukraine and so on. But like that disaster response foundation, it is great, but like right now for us, it's not super optimal way. Also, I was in the meeting of my district, and our governor told that we don't need shelter boxes. Don't spend your money for things which we don't need.
Добре.
I think we have time for maybe one more question. Is there, Joe?
Yeah, it was a question. Oksana, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us what, I know that when we spoke earlier before the meeting, you said you just came back from the basement. I gather this happens a lot. I don't know, once a day, twice a day, the basement being where you go when the air raid sirens happen. Can you describe what happens when you hear that air raid siren?
We are hearing outside like loud sirens, and it means that we need to run to the basement because like you see some Russian like military planes, they are coming into the area of Ukraine and putting bombs into our buildings, and some special there is some special kind of rockets. It's rockets with wings. It means they can fly for a long time. And the last time when our TV tower was damaged, like a Russian military plane went into the area of Black Sea, and there he put that special rocket with wings, and it flies, and someone with the help of some chips or something like that coordinate its way, and that rockets, they are very dangerous because it's very difficult to find out them because they are flying not very high, and radars can find them, and we are afraid of them very, very much. Oh, sorry, I'm here, but like I'm baking pudding. I need to check if it is still normal. I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening to you, but I need to check if it is okay.
It's okay, Oksana. Yeah, I think between your cat and the maps, it's nice to know that we're still all human, and we're
Yes.
live your life, and I hope you didn't burn anything. All right. Well.
No.
Oh. It's usually me in the kitchen.
Yes, I can hear you and I can communicate. I can even show you. Wait a minute. It is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Oksana.
Thank you, friends. I'm sorry, like I thought that like I will be very serious and will tell you serious things, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult even like for serious people be organized right now. I'm not very I'm not praying, and I don't attend churches and so on, but right now I start to do it, and our neighbors, they are praying very loud, and I believe that if I am hearing their praise, it works even for me. So just be happy for each day which you have. Just be happy that you can walk on the street without any problems. If you are able to sleep all night long, it's a big happiness.
Well, yeah.
And when you will come back home, just hug your family.
never truer words, one day at a time, and be thankful for what we have, and know that everybody's, not just our club, but the world is thinking and praying for all of you. And thank you, Lisa. You've got us all going. But yeah, thank you, Oksana, for joining us. You're more than welcome to stay on for the rest of the call, but I understand that you've got food in the oven, so and a cat that probably wants to bat your head around a little bit. So
I can show Venya one. I'm sorry, my Venya, it's like
he looks like my George. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move over to the community report.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Well, now home. It's been a little over 2 years, I guess, maybe last week or this week since COVID hit. And that's the other thing that is big today, I guess, the changes in the COVID restrictions. One of the things we all remember from the spring of 2020 was the horrifying toll it took on long-term care homes. We all remember that. Fortunately, here in Bowmanville, we were spared the worst of it. At Glen Hill Strathaven, there was only one positive test. That turned out to be a false positive, and the administrator at the time, her name is Michelle Stroud. She, along with her amazing staff, did an incredible job of keeping everyone safe. You'll recall that she spoke to our club in the summer of 2020. We did end up, thanks to our Paul Harris committee, giving her a special Paul Harris Award for her work. My own mother, so this is close to my heart, moved into Strathaven this fall when the highly transmissible Omicron variant hit this winter. The home was not so lucky. A number of residents, including my mother, were infected. Basically hit every ward. Thankfully, it wasn't the disaster that it was in 2020. And things are getting back to normal now, sort of. You still have to wear a mask when you go in. Still have to be vaccinated. We have the home's current administrator, Christine Langdon. She's here this morning. Christine, come on up, and she's going to tell us all about what's gone on these past few months to keep people safe. Thank you very much. Christine, you became the administrator in May. That's right, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
What was the situation with COVID when you took over? It was sort of in between, right?
Yeah, May was pretty quiet. I came to Strathaven in May. I have been in long-term care for like 30 years. Now I've aged myself, but and it's been a very bumpy course through the pandemic. As you said, long-term care has been typically hit significantly hard. Everybody hears the horror stories out of wave one. So when I got to Strathaven, it was kind of a stabilized period, right? Typically, this pandemic and the various different variants, it's a little quieter through the summer months, and then we kind of seem to ramp up and then head into the fall and into the winter season. So at the time I got to Strathaven in May, very stable, and then we kind of headed into the Christmas season.
And the Christmas season, I remember December was when Omicron was on the rise.
It was just starting.
And
Yeah.
I got an email from you, and all of a sudden we saw signs saying there's an outbreak in the home. And I think that happened like right after Christmas. What happened? Do we know? I mean, you don't have to give names, but do we know what happened? Was it a resident? Was it a staff member? Do we even know?
The challenge in long-term care is because we know we're caring for the most vulnerable, right? And so it's trying to balance quality of life against risk. We're kind of slave to the government and whatever those current directives are. Always having to have, followed those directives and the different things that the ministry puts out. At the time, we were still allowing residents to kind of go home for Christmas. And I get every ounce of it, right? This is a population and a group of people who have more or less been stuck inside for 2 years running, in and out of isolation. It's taken a huge emotional toll on people. And we know Omicron's coming, we know it's knocking on the door, but it's Christmas, right? So do we let these people go home and spend Christmas with their families, or do we not? And so the government made the call that visits would still be allowed outside of the home. But when they came back, there were testing requirements. So they would be in isolation for 5 days, or not actually, they didn't have to be in isolation, but we'd be testing everyone on day 5 when they came back. So we had a number that did go home when they came back. We started the testing, and that's when a number of positives started showing up. Unfortunately, by then, they've kind of been everywhere in the home, and it just kind of sprung up all over. And having lived and worked through every wave of this pandemic, I've never seen anything like the Omicron variant. Like the transmissibility of that and just how communicable it was phenomenal. And despite your best efforts, once it's kind of gotten hold somewhere, it really did spread.
And fortunately, I think most of the people there were pretty well, everybody, you had been vaccinated, triple vaccinated.
Yep.
So the health toll it took wasn't as severe as it would have been in 2020 when there was no vaccine. But people were still isolated. I mean, I know my mom was like, you know, in her room and in her unit, and it was, you know, it was hard to communicate with people. What was that like those few weeks when a lot of people were still isolated, a lot of people were in their rooms? What was that like for them? What did it do to them? I guess residents and staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard from my perspective to say what they're going to do. At the end of the day, I still get to go home. I still get to go to my family and not have a mask on and you know, breathe fresh air. I can only imagine what it is like for those residents who, and this is the part that kind of hurts, you know, hurts your heart every time we go into an outbreak, is that it means the residents are back in isolation. And for any of you who have been in a long-term care home, I mean, kind of picture your bedroom and you're stuck in it for 10 days, minimum 10 days. I mean, the science behind it is solid, right? If people aren't out and they're not mingling, your risk of contracting the disease, the virus, is significantly lowered, right? So staff, you typically have PPE bins outside the room. Staff would fully don all PPE, gowns, gloves, N95s. It's one of the things that came down from public health throughout the Omicron variant was the use of N95s. I don't know if there was a suspected airborne piece to, I don't know that that's ever really, if the science has ever truly landed on whether or not there was an airborne quality to COVID, but the N95s were used throughout the Omicron outbreaks. And so they're in the rooms, meals are in their rooms. I mean, you can imagine the kind of psychological toll and emotional toll that takes on people. The biggest difference, you know, in those lessons learned between when this started in wave 1 to now, and I truly do believe decisions were made with the best interests of people at heart. You know, in wave 1, when we kind of closed off long-term care homes and nobody was coming in, and I mean, it was about protection. So much wasn't known at that time about COVID and you know, how transmissible it was. People were terrified. I worked through wave 1, not at Strathaven, but in Toronto rather, and people were terrified to even come in. So at least in subsequent rounds, the government put in place that residents could establish essential caregivers. They could designate 2, which kind of changed or started off as 2. Now it can be as many as 4, but people that are vital to their care. And the role of that essential caregiver has significantly grown. It's something that they're going to embed in the new legislation, that they have a significantly expanded role in the importance of the resident's life. And even through the subsequent waves, with the most recent Omicron wave, even when a home is in an outbreak or a resident is isolating, those essential caregivers can continue to come in. So if there was one really good lesson learned, I'd always say it's that we're never going to isolate people away from, the people who have meaning in their life and the people who love them. That won't happen again. So that's a good thing. But like anything, I mean, some of our 95, 100-year-old residents, I mean, their children are in their 70s and 80s, and COVID is scary. So, people often don't want to come in. And I understand and respect that. So isolation has always been my concern.
So I guess we're almost wrapping it up, but I just want to look ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's pleased, things are opening up, mask mandates, are dropping, vaccination mandates are dropping. Right now, when I go visit my mom in the home, and everybody else does, I still have to get tested, antigen test, and I still have to wear a mask inside. And in China, I know it's like they're having hospitalization like they never had before. Where are we going in long-term care? And with you, I guess, what are you looking forward now? How much longer do you?
I don't think we'll see masks go away in long-term care for a while. It's been an interesting 2 years. No one's had an influenza outbreak. But then you also some of the science questions, well, are people missing natural immunities and so on and so forth. I think for the very short interim anyway, we'll continue seeing masks.
Testing as well.
We are anxiously kind of advocating with the continued testing, especially now the government has dropped their provincial mandates for all visitors to be vaccinated and for all staff to be vaccinated. You may have heard that with kind of big buzz on the news over the past couple of days. As it stands right now, Strathaven is going to maintain our internal policy that visitors and staff still need to be vaccinated, but I suspect at some point we will need to revisit those as the situation evolves. And so if we get to that point, and I understand both sides, right? Do we have a right to keep a family member from a loved one on the basis of the vaccination status? So if and when we get to that point, I feel good knowing that we've got the testing strategy as a backup. So everyone coming into the home is having a rapid test. They were actually pretty useful in identifying people who were positive through the Omicron. A lot were asymptomatic, so it flagged for us those people, and then oddly 2 days later they'd start with symptoms. So it was helpful. I think it did help keep. I do think the rapid testing was a good strategy, and I would still hope that it's something that we can maintain going forward, just as that extra layer of protection.
Well, I know we still have some business to get to, so thank you so much. And, not just you, but your staff. I mean, everyone talks about, long-term care workers. I've seen them in action. They're unbelievable.
They really are.
They just, the work that they do every day and the work that they've done to keep people safe in Strathaven and everywhere else, they should be commended. And just congratulations on your good work.
Thank you.
See? Okay, 2 minutes for Happy Bucks. That's it. 2 minutes. Because John, if you keep clinking your coins over there.
Okay, 5 happy bucks. Colin keeps telling me almost every day that I'm on fire for Rotary. Yesterday, I had flames coming out my ears. I was at a meeting in Oshawa. The speaker, Richard McWhinney, this guy, he epitomizes what Rotary is all about. He has a project he started in 2009. He's still on it. I've said to Joe, we need to get him as a speaker, probably the end of May, beginning of June. Anyway, well done, Richard. Right.
I've got 10 happy bucks for two things. One, prior to COVID, my wife and I were fairly avid swimmers. So COVID killed all of that. And last night was our first night back in the pool. So we swam a kilometer. Very happy with that. Secondly, we have a fundraiser that we started. Lisa Tamlin came to the table with an idea to sell bunnies. So we passed it by the committee. We're going to be selling bunnies for Easter. It's called Bunnies for Bowmanville. So start seeing some publications about it shortly. So if you're out there, Rachel, I'll be in touch with you about the social media campaign and so forth. But they're 100-gram bunnies. Chris has already sampled 3 of them, I think. Chris?
Yeah, they're chocolate bunnies, not real bunnies.
Okay. Oh, I thought they were real this whole time.
Fix that now. And they're good.
Very good. So they're from Williams Chocolate. They're 100 grams, and they'll have a Rotary card on them that talks about our campaigns that we've had in the past, and hopefully a lure to a bit of membership as well. They're $12 each, and we've ordered 250 of them so far, and they're on the way. Okay.
Scratch that off my announcement, so perfect. And I have 5 happy bucks because after the funeral I have to do today, I am taking 2.5 days off.
Yeah.
Close my computer so I can still do work, but I won't be in Bowmanville. So, okay, Pauline, floor is yours.
Alrighty. Okay, this is a last call for acceptance of nominations for the Paul Harris Fellow recognition that we plan to do later this year, hopefully in May, towards the end of May. So if you know of any individual worthy of this honor, please submit as much detail as you can, outlining their good work and how they exemplify service above self. Do this before March 30th. Email Renee or Jason or myself with the details. Now, a little information for our newer members about the history of a Paul Harris Fellow recognition. I was not a member of the Rotary Club of Bowmanville for very long when I was attending my very first Paul Harris presentation dinner event. It was a time when our club only were able to honor 1 or 2 individuals every year. The importance of the presentation was apparent by the dignity of the event. The recipients regarded in the highest esteem as they were presented with their beautiful medallion, the blue and gold ribbon, along with a framed certificate and pin. It was an event of special significance, a true recognition of exceptional service. However, to consider a Paul Harris Fellow recognition only in terms of exceptional service becomes somewhat limiting. The recognition originated when Rotary Foundation was first conceived. It was a recognition to any individual who contributed financially $1,000 US to the foundation. Now we're talking of a time way back about 60 years ago when $1,000 US was an incredible amount of money, and not many individuals gave that kind of donation. Many Rotary clubs started a tradition of organizing fundraisers to raise the contributions to the foundation. In this way, the $1,000 was easily achieved. So then the club had to decide what they would do with the recognition, and thus began the tradition of honoring individuals who have exemplified Rotary ideals in their life. Someone who lives by service above self. From this beginning, thousands of clubs began the tradition. Seems like a wonderful idea, and it is. What better way to honor an individual than to contribute to our Rotary Foundation? However, let us always remember that the foundation only exists through the generosity of financial contributions. Today, many of our members choose Rotary Foundation as one of their charities of choice and contribute monthly or annually, or even name them as a benefactor in their will. The magic figure of $1,000 US is unchanged, but now with contributions over the course of the years, often exceeding the $1,000 US, Rotary Foundation provides additional levels of recognition of a Paul Harris Fellow. This level is shown by the number of stones on your pin. Today, please join me in a huge thank you to 2 of our Rotarians, Tim Funchion and Fred Mander. climbed the ladder even further with their giving and now have special pins, each with stones that signify the amount of their giving. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you, Tim and Fred, for your continual giving and encourage everyone to think about Rotary Foundation as their charity of choice. Thank you.
And Tim, I believe you're a +1.
Yeah.
And Fred is +8. Well done, well done. A couple of, yeah. Two very quick announcements. Our evening meeting this month is March the 31st. It's going to be at the Bulldog Pub in Curtis. Julie and Vic, that's where the Curtis Club meets, and they are also Rotarians. So it's Thursday the 31st. We do have to give them an idea of numbers though. So if you're planning to attend, please let us know. And I also wanted to mention, because I know Pauline's mentioned it as well, April 22nd, the Curtis Club is having their 20th anniversary dinner. It's at Newcastle Town Hall, which is a little strange, but that's fine. And you can buy tickets on their website. And so, yeah, it's I think it's $100 an evening or $100 a person. Looks like a great, I know who the caterer is, should be a good meal. So that's April the 22nd is their dinner. And speaking of Tim function, do you have our quote of the week?
I do. It's a short quote. It's an old one from Winston Churchill. And it goes, "You can't negotiate with a lion with your head in its mouth."
Good enough. Yeah, all right. So if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, I will call this meeting adjourned and we'll see everybody next Tuesday back here at Rehoboth. All right, thank you.